Hey everybody, this is Scott. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my wife and I are full-time resellers. We buy and sell things at estate sales and garage sales, and we turn around and sell those things on online platforms like eBay, Etsy, and Poshmark. If you are also a reseller, you know that this has gotten harder over the last 5 to 10 years. A lot of things have gone down in value. We just don't get the same returns that we used to get. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a whole body of work that I think is going up in value. So if that's interesting to you, stick around and we'll get right to it. I'm going to talk to you today about some things that are going up in value. There is not even a renewed interest. There is new interest in an entire body of work that has been absolutely overlooked, which makes it easier, nothing is easy, but easier to go out and find. And I really think that, at least from my own experience, these things are still ascending in price. A lot of these are going to be what I would call folk art. There are things that are made by an individual, artisan made, but there is a specific area that we're going to look at that is climbing in value. It's been tremendously undervalued, well, really forever, as far as I can tell. And we're going to dive into Mexican folk art and some of the areas, and I'm going to give you some examples of the things that we picked up, but some of the areas where this stuff is made. And you know what happens with art, a lot of times it's a perception thing, and Mexican art and a lot of the Latin American art has, honestly, it's just been flat out overlooked. But I think people are starting to realize that some of this stuff is absolutely amazing. It is completely different than any other area of the world in what's being produced. And is what's important for us as resellers is that not only is this stuff beautiful and fun to work with, but it's terribly overlooked. But in the last 5 years, it's coming on. If you've been reselling long, there will be those times like, gosh, I wish I could have got in on that at the beginning. And I really think we're at the beginning of this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the areas that specific items are made. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I have. Some of the things I don't have a lot of because they sell. And so let's get to it. I want to talk a little bit about pottery, and instead of me trying to hold things up for you to see, because some of the stuff I have is breakable, and I don't know, I'm not very good at holding it up there so that you can see it as well as I would like you to. I'm going to go ahead and move me down to the corner and pop up a larger video showing what some of these things are as I talk about them. One of the states in Mexico, and I'm going to apologize to all of my Latin American friends. I grew up in northern Minnesota, so some of the pronunciations are probably going to sound bad. My intent is good, so bear with me, and don't hesitate to comment below and tell me how it's pronounced if I just absolutely crucify something. And also, I'm not going to hit everything. Latin American pottery, Latin American artwork, and Mexican artwork is so drastically underlooked that the little bit that I have doesn't begin to cover it. So most of the people that are visiting my channel are genuinely interested in what's available and what you can find. So post it below what's in your area and what you can find, because this stuff isn't only available in Mexico and Latin America. It spills all over the United States. So I want to talk about the state of Oaxaca. I hope that I've gotten close with that. That is an area well known for pottery. So one of the things that I want to talk about there is they do a lot of black finished pottery. It's a highly polished clay, and once it's fired, it takes on a sheen. And so in this video that I'm going to show you, a couple of examples that I still have. One of them is a small bowl, and one of them is a duck. And the reason that I'm going to show you all of these examples, in my opinion, instead of me just talking about it, it's so much easier to go out and find it if you can see one. So the bowl, of course, is gorgeous, but if you take a look at the duck, then you can start to see that this overlooked artwork is amazing. This one is signed on the duck's butt. It's a little bit hard to read, but I promise you it's there. So that's one stunning example. There's an area in Mexico, changing gears just a little bit, and it's going to change the look of the pottery, is something called Talavera. It's a very distinctive look. It's a red clay, and I will show the bottom of these. Very brightly colored. And right now, I still think this one's really undervalued. Both of these pieces, the little dish will probably go for $35 and the other one for $45. But these are going up, and they didn't just make dishes and things. A friend of mine, they actually have an entire toilet made from Talavera pottery. It's absolutely stunning. I didn't haul that to my house, but I think I would. But this is Talavera pottery, and it's very distinctive and very pretty and going up in value. Also, from the state of Mexico, this thing is that I'm showing the video of is called a tree of life, and a lot of this out of the state of Mexico. There's also, it wasn't just this. You'll notice that there's a lot of very brightly colored things. The piggy bank is a completely different type of paint job. Tree of Life, like this little one, it's not worth a whole lot. $25, $35, but they make them a lot larger. And with all forms of art, the better it's done, the higher the price. So when you're looking for any of these kind of things, pick the best one made. Obviously, if it's signed, it's easier to identify exactly who made it, and the price goes up. But the Tree of Life on this one is on the lower end, whereas the piggy bank and the paint job on it is on the upper end, and it will go for a little bit more. I'll probably get $75 for that one. So now we're going to head over to a place in Mexico called Jalisco. And here they're going to do, you're going to see some of the Huichol? Not sure how it's pronounced. It's the cactus. And they also do a lot of animal figurines and things like that. And Jalisco does some metalwork and some other things too. But when you see these intricate beadworks, and I will zoom in so that you can see just how tiny these little pieces are. When you see these, they're going to be from that area many times. Always check on the bottom, make sure they're signed, and artists can make a difference. This one is made over mesquite, a type of wood native to the South America, all the way up into Texas and the southern regions of the United States. Check these carefully. The wooden ones, the beads tend to not stick as well as they do to the clay-based ones. The clay-based ones many times will be hollow, so they're more fragile, but the beads stick better. So absolutely stunning work. And just like you saw on the pig, there's some real strong Latin American influences in the artwork, but it's accomplished with beads. And so truly, truly stunning work. Next, I am going to head over to Guanajuato, I think is how it's pronounced. Here you'll find a lot of leather work. And so I've got a couple of different things. The first one is a very intricately leather-worked seat. This is a camp seat, one of the 3 stools types that folds up and you can carry it around with you where you go. This one's probably made in the 40s or 50s. And it's got the Mayan calendar in the center and some Mayan figurines around the exterior at the 3 points. Truly beautiful work. Really, truly stunning work. And the other one, I don't really have a good way to display it, is a ceremonial horse headdress. And again, the bright colors, but the leather work is incredible. I think the Mexican leather work is on par with anybody's in the world. And while it is probably more recognized than some of the pottery and things like that, it's still undervalued. And once people realize the man hours it took to make some of this stuff, I think that it'll continue to go up in value. So the next one, I don't have a lot of it to show you because I have sold all of mine. It doesn't last long at all, and it's out of Taxco. Taxco is a small area in Mexico that produces incredible metalwork. probably more specifically known for silver and then copper, but their silver work is second to none. And so this little bolo tie, it's all handmade. It's not something that's done on a big press and then shaped and thrown out to the mass market. So even if you buy two of them that look identical, there will be variations in them because every stroke on it was done by hand. Taxco is going to be, there's a chance you'll find it anywhere in the United States. They've been making silver for a long, long time. And if it says Taxco, it has some value that will exceed just your weight value. Mm-hmm. So really, really pay attention to those kind of things because Taxco is one of my favorite things to find out in the wild. And all over Mexico, you're going to find things that cross all the state borders down there from village to village, from city to city, that stretch all the way out of Mexico south into Peru. And I'll talk a little bit about some of those things now. The first one I'm going to put up there is a couple of paper mache figures. They're skeletons. Dios de los Muertos is the Day of the Dead is a very popular holiday. I think it's a holiday in Mexico in southern areas. These two were made by I'm going to make Augustin Galicia, I think is how it's pronounced. And these are small figures. As such, they're probably only worth $50 to $75 a piece, but he made larger ones. And, well, you may think it's paper mache. How can paper mache be worth very much? Try and make one. Try and make one that's this detailed. These are spectacular. I've looked at a lot of Mexican paper mache, and Galicia was just an absolute rock star. And some of his bigger pieces go hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Also, paper mache, you'll see things like maracas. And maracas are popular everywhere. And the finer they're made, the two examples I have here are really well done. They've got a lot of character. They've got a lot of life in them, and the paint jobs on them are spectacular. These were made in the 50s, and they look and sound terrific. Both of these should sell for probably $50 a piece. And when you find them, a lot of times people aren't asking much for these kind of things. And on the upper end is the horse. It is an entire paper mache pull toy for a kid. And it is whimsical and it has character. They built the paper mache over wooden legs and attached it to a wooden base with wooden wheels. And you'll see variations of them, but this one should sell for anywhere from $200 to $400. And it's just truly amazing stuff. And of course, all over Mexico, all over the South, textiles, I think, are one of the most overlooked things you could possibly have. Melody and I have had a ton of true vintage Mexican clothing, and we love it because it will straight up pay your rent. This piece is a poncho, which I'm sure you've seen them, and I'm not talking about the hoodies and things like that you can see that look like Mexican clothing. I'm talking specifically about that stuff that's hand woven by some lady that knows exactly what she's doing. It wouldn't have to be a lady; it could be a guy. But traditionally, a lot of the women ran looms and worked with wools and alpaca furs and things like that. Are just, it's an artwork that is, in my opinion, completely undervalued. But it is rising quickly. 5 years ago, a poncho like this would have brought $25, $35, and this one will approach $100. We've had others sell for 3 times that. And when we talk textiles and clothing, all the way from clothing to tablecloths to rugs to tapestries to hang on the wall, I just don't think anybody does it better than the hand-woven South American stuff. So keep your eyes open for it because it's exploding in value. I have a rug. I couldn't squeeze it into this video because it takes up a lot of room that I expect to get $1,500 for. And these things are out there. With the textiles, you do the same thing you would do with a pottery or you would do with silverwork. Look at the details. Look at, is there character? Is there life there? Art is subjective. And these things are incredibly valuable when they're well executed and they're going up in value. And Mexico, Latin America, South America, there's some contributions there that have been widely overlooked. And as a society, it's good for us to look at those things. Specifically, this channel is about reselling. And as people back up and take a look and they're like, wow, that stuff's really impressive. Artists will emerge that were otherwise unknown. And this has happened throughout history where we discover people long after they're gone. And I truly think the Mexican art is on the rise. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I won't stop getting it, not just because I like having it in my own house, but because it's beautiful to have. As an example of that, I saved one of the best ones for last. It's an artist that is drastically rising in value. 10 years ago, you could have got one of his paintings for $100 or $200. His name is Jose Maria Servin. And again, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. And this particular piece of artwork I have isn't his most valuable stuff. He moved into a different period, but he was in the Cubist period. This is some of his earlier work. He did a lot of boys and girls. Usually they were on separate canvases, painted on burlap canvases. This one shows both of them together in one canvas, which is kind of special. He moved into a much more experimental Cubist period after this, and his paintings are now, this one should be worth $1,500 to $2,000, but his Cubist works that are just blowing up in popularity can pass tens of thousands of dollars. And so he's a perfect example of, in his own lifetime, popular, but it wasn't anything, the art world just overlooked him. I mean, he painted on burlap, there's a time where the masters didn't do that. And I think that's going to change. I think the media changes, art changes, and Jose Maria Servin is a perfect example of an artwork that was overlooked for a generation, and now we're just now realizing it's spectacular. So hopefully you got something out of this. I enjoyed making it. I enjoy finding these things and finding people that love them as much as I do. So we've got more exciting stuff coming up. If you like the video, I would appreciate it if you like and subscribe so that I know that somebody's watching these that's getting something out of them. So I appreciate you being here, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.